Now, let's go from Paris to Perez. So I was shocked then when I saw this yesterday that apparently Perez Hilton was in the hospital for over a month because he was sick. So um he basically said my stupidity landed me in the hospital for 21 days. It was the worst and best thing that ever happened to me. This is what he said in his YouTube video yesterday, that would be Monday, in which he described the crazy saga. Now, before I was hospitalized, I had the flu. I had the flu for about a week. Now, I do have the video. I don't know if you want to sit and spend a lot of time with it, but I want y'all to hear from his mouth, where he basically said, talked about why he ended up in the hospital for 21 days and shared the mistakes he made and revealed the lessons that he learned. And said that was the worst and best experience. He even said he saw God at one point, and now he's a believer. And when that's on your face, I'm a believer. So he said now, yeah, he's a believer in the whole situation. Now he said he's gonna get his kids in Catholic school. He's going to church every Sunday when he gets better. That his mother was. I said, oh Lord, he saw Jesus to the point now he is fully converted. So let's get into the clip. Because I was like, oh, what happened to you? He lost a lot of weight. And then we will come back and talk. Please hold.
As many of you may know, before I was hospitalized, I had the flu. I had the flu for about a week. And you may know I'm not a person who is a partier or abuses things. I took my medication for the flu for a week. However, big but, I didn't take any of my medication with food. I never have. And you're supposed to take all of this medication with food because some of these anti-this, helping with that, they can be hard on the stomach or the intestine.
Hold on. So you don't read the labels of the pills before you pop them in your mouth? Okay.
So because I have been taking all of this medication without food for a week, I developed an ulcer, then a perforation, and then sepsis. People die of sepsis.
Yeah. Billy Porter almost died from sepsis. We heard that story. Well, we got him coming up next, but yeah, Billy Porter almost died from sepsis.
The day before I was hospitalized, I was in so much stomach pain. I was like, this is weird, but it'll go away. The next morning, I couldn't walk. I had to be taken by ambulance to the hospital. And thankfully, I asked the paramedics, what was the best hospital in Vegas? Which is the one that you would recommend? So they took me to Southern Hills Hospital. And I'm so thankful for the care that I got there. So thankful for everybody in every department. I ended up being there 21 days. I felt like I knew everybody by the time I left. The first few days were a lot of pain and constant tests, X-ray, CT scan, ultrasound, X-ray, CT scan, ultrasound, because they couldn't find where the perforation was. So that was scary. Like there's this hole inside of me. Where is it? Couldn't find it, couldn't find it, couldn't find it. Eventually, after 5 days, I ended up having laparoscopic surgery where they don't cut you up, but they miraculously make these incisions, and the masterful surgeon, Dr. Reeves, used cameras and everything to literally flip around all of my organs, trying to find the perforation first. Then, after flipping around all of my organs, washing me out, because I had so much infection in there, so much infection. So we did that surgery, and then I had fluid by each side of the lungs. That had to be drained. And then I still had so much infection that I had to have another major procedure. This time through ultrasound, they inserted, I don't know what in me, and drained a ton of more infection in me. And then The sepsis just kept working and my body kept falling apart. The one night with rapid response came because my heart got out of control. They had to put me on heart medications. And then I developed another infection in the hospital, which apparently it's common to get infections in hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Infections run rampant in hospitals. Then it's like the 2-week mark, and I hadn't eaten in over 2 weeks. Isn't that crazy? Because I love food. I love food, and I was not able to eat for over 2 weeks. Everything was through IV. And then when I was able to finally start eating, that was a whole other process. Hard on the body and humiliating because I had some nights of a lot of accidents. And there's one nurse, especially Bella. I felt so humiliated and sad and bad to have to keep calling her because I had kept having accidents in the bed. But she was so kind and patient and helpful. And there were a few nights like that. And it was just such a slow process. I mean, 2 weeks of just sickness, and then another week of getting better before I was released. And that last week was hell because I had already been in the hospital 2 weeks by then. I was like, I just want to go home. I just want to be with my babies. But I've got to thank Dr. Reeves, and I've got to thank all the nurses and Dr. Yakubian and Dr. Hansen. One of the hardest things was when they put this NG tube in me. Having this giant tube going from your nose through your stomach, sucking up bile, infection. I had that in me for days, not once, but twice. Towards the first week, I think for almost the entire week or longer, I also had a Foley catheter where they insert a balloon in your bladder. So that was intense. I developed severe weakness from lying in bed for so long, swelling of everything. I clearly lost a lot of weight. And now that I'm home, I'm not 100%. I brought the hospital with me. I'm going to take this off today, but I can't take this off. They had to insert a PICC line, which is like a big, fancy, scary IV with 2 lines, and one goes to my heart. And I am wearing this one bag here, and inside there's a little ball with one of my antibacterials. I take 2 different antibacterial, one antibacterial and one antifungal every day. This one that I have on now runs for 24 hours, and the other one runs for an hour. And I have to do this for 10 days because treating the infection that's still inside of me intravenously is a lot more effective than treating it with pills. So I said, okay, I'll do whatever you recommend because I'm not going back to the hospital. It's a one and done for me. But as I started off in the beginning, it wasn't all bad. There were some positives. I'm excited to make even more changes in my life. Many of you know I used to be a workaholic, and I'm still going to be a very hard worker, but I used to only sleep 4 to 5 hours a night. I am going to force myself, and I am going to sleep 8 hours a night going forward. Last night, when I slept in my bed for the first time, it was the first night of real sleep in 3 weeks because you can't sleep in the hospital. They're constantly coming in, checking your vitals, putting in a new IV, putting in another IV, drawing blood. I literally could not sleep for 3 weeks. Driving home yesterday, being wheeled out, getting here and being home, it was so surreal and serene. And when I saw my kiddos who had visited me, but when we got home, we had the biggest, most cathartic group hug and tears and tears and tears. They were so worried for their dad. But this experience is also going to be a positive for them because I'm ashamed of myself. I felt this need to produce for my family so much that I was doing this and that and not doing the little things. Like, sure, I take my kids to this fun event and that fun event, but it's the little things that matter. Like, it was grandma who would do dinner with the kids every night. No more. I'm going to have dinner with my kids and my mom every night from now on. And speaking of my family, I have to thank my sister for everything. My sister is my angel. I honestly believe if it weren't for my sister, I'd probably be dead. My sister.
Okay, so it goes on. It's a pretty long video. If you want to see the rest, you could definitely go on his channel. But I will say this: I love the fact that it's sad that it took something this drastic for Perez to realize that he needs to slow down and take care of himself and not be out here overdoing it. Because I get it when you're someone who is trying to make a name for yourself or trying to keep up with the situation. Because I know a lot of people feel the way about how they felt about him back in the day. Yes, he was a nuisance. Yes, he was a nightmare. Yes, he was a pain in the ass. But he's evolved over the years and he's put in the work to show that he has changed, that he's not the old Perez who used to just put comes droppings and put weird names, fire crotch and stuff all over people's face. He's not that guy anymore. And he's proven that over the years that he is just like, he's still doing the blogging thing. He still does the radio show with Booker and all the other stuff. So he's been doing his own thing. And to me, I'm it's sad when it has to get to this point because I feel like that Billy Porter also had that revelation where it was like, I need to slow down. I was out here doing all these things and running around being crazy, all this other stuff, and then life humbles you quick. And it's like, no, you need to slow down. You need to stop doing all these things. And the fact of the matter is, like, yeah, he's saying his mother was the one that was doing all the little things, having dinner with them, cooking the food, and doing all these things. And I'm so busy worrying about, okay, the latest celebrity thing that I got to get ahead of before the other reporters and bloggers and influencers get ahead of that. And I got to make a TikTok video and post it there. And I got to post it on this thing because that's what I do too. Like, I totally understand where he's coming from, where it's like, once I'm wrapped up with this show, it's like, I got to go in and edit, put the timestamps in the show. Then I'm over here recording, like cutting up the episodes, the best clips and the best topics, posting on all the social media platforms so that more eyes can get on it. So it's a 24/7 hustle that a lot of us are dealing with in this whole situation. And yeah, maybe this is me doing this video, realizing that I got to slow down and prioritize my health. And in a lot of ways, I have been doing that. I haven't been running around rampant and over exerting myself because I don't want to get to a point where I collapse. There was something that happened similar to a coworker of mine where he was at work and I remember seeing him. He was I forget what it was that we was working. I think it was a comedy show. And we were doing like a double because there was like two shows. I think it was the show that Jimmy Fallon was opening for. I can't remember the show. But anyway, so he worked the earlier show. Then it was like he, I guess, went to go do something, went all the way up to the bridge to give his wife something because she also worked there. Thing happened was he collapsed because he was sick for a while too, but he was still coming to work and doing stuff. And it's like, no, take time off and take care of yourself. But he was ill. He was pushing himself. Collapsed when he got up to the top of the escalator, where it may have been the altitude, who knows? Had to be rushed to the hospital, passed away. So you got to really take the time to really take the time with not trying to overexert yourself. Really listen to your body when it's telling you slow down, relax. Don't be trying to do 500 million things. I understand it's only 24 hours a day. We try to turn 24 hours, it's like 29 hours. But we have to take priority and value in our rest time, relaxation time, sleep. There's times where I come on and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give you all a show tomorrow. And then my body be like, oh no, bitch, you're not. Because I'll be working events and I'll be doing stuff like this month. I've been running around. It's been literally March Madness. I mean, they call it that for a reason, but I've been so busy doing a lot of stuff that I was like, when it's time for me to come, I was like, well, damn, I ain't giving nobody a show. I didn't come and entertain y'all and those other stuff. And then I have to go and be like, you know what? My body is saying, no, bitch, you need to rest. So hopefully they'll understand, but you get in that mindset of like, well, they might run off to the next person and you get those abandonment thoughts and all this other stuff. So you're always feeling like you got to feed the beast. But at the same time, and it's funny because when I do post videos, I kid you not, when I'm doing on YouTube and they give you my monthly synopsis of the popular videos, what y'all like and what's the ones that people gravitate towards more, they always say, don't forget to prioritize your mental health and taking time to so you get the reminders. Shout out to YouTube because they do give you the reminders when I get my monthly reports on the amount of videos that I put up. So let this be a lesson learned, but I think it has a lot to do with people of color and especially queer people. We always get in this sense of we always have to work twice as hard to be able to get the things that certain groups get handed down to them ever so easily. So shout out to you, Perez Hilton. Um, and hopefully you get stronger and healthier and you're able to come back out and hit the ground running yet again, but just don't overexert yourself because you don't want to end up 6 feet under because these kids need you. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story and what Perez had to say? I was like, yeah, I gagged when I saw that video yesterday, and I was like, I had to bring it to y'all for the show. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.